it's new business. The first one, I believe we have somebody here who wants to discuss this, is discussion of possible map changes for redesignation of 186 and 192 East Main Street to Zone B4. There was correspondence that we received from Watson Magnus about this during the month. John Watts, would you like to make any statement to start us off on this?
Good evening, everyone. Development and been living here, working out on that end of the town, and feel that that the plan of development looks to move into the town more towards the business end of town, more consistent with the eastern end of the property in the town, rather than the village housing end of the town. And so I spoke with McManus, the adjacent property owner, about this, and he was in agreement, and he thought that the town plan supported the zone change. Well, historically, it was a business zone in that area, and that years ago, it became part of the village zone. So the change moved towards the village zone, but in fact, the use of the property is more business. We have the police station on one side, McManus and the gas station on the other, and a billboard that's directly across the street. And there's a lot of wetlands that surround it, so there won't be really any other development in that area. And so that's the point of the application, the request to review that change. I think it would help the town create a consistency.
We're breaking up a little bit on us, but what just to summarize, what you would like to do is basically the last two properties in the village zone on that side of the street is convert those to or return them, as you say, to the B4 zone.
Correct.
Now, there's two possible ways to do this. One would be that the commission, through its regulations committee, could make that proposal, and the other is that you and your neighbor could do that as a proposal. I will tell you that I would prefer that it not come from the commission, because while I've been on the commission, twice we've tried to rezone those two parcels, and both times coming from us it has failed. So I think that it is more likely, I think it would be inappropriate for us to do it a third time, coming directly from us as a proposal. I think it would make more sense to come from the property owners. Go ahead, Adam.
Didn't we, when Larry Ouellette came forward a year and a half ago, and he asked to have the historic district lines redrawn, didn't we exclude these properties from that?
Yes.
And would they have? Go ahead.
They were. Excuse me. Sorry, if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, John.
So yeah, when the village zone, which is basically East Main Street from the river to Mr. Watts's property on Beach Park Road, or that goes all the way to Beach Park Road, were converted from village zone to East Main Street Village District, which is a different set of the statutes. There were a couple of properties, including Mr. Watts's and Mr. Magnus's property to the east of Route 145, that were specifically excluded from that rezoning, and so those few remain in the village zone. which, so they're sort of in kind of a limbo set of regulations. They weren't considered to be sort of historic in character that needed to be protected by the East Main Street Village District, but they weren't changed to anything else. So they still remain sort of an orphan zoning designation.
I thought we had pushed them into the adjacent zone, but we didn't do that.
We
No,
didn't.
you'll recall that that was an exceptionally complicated motion that night, and that at one point we had them into the new village district, and then they went back out. But the bottom line after all the maneuvering was that they stayed as they had been. They were not rezoned as business or anything else.
What does the town plan have to say about it?
I looked at this. I did look at it. I'll have to go back and look. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look. It called for a village district, obviously, for the East Main Street area, but
That's my recollection.
yeah, I need to take a look at the specific.
Okay. So it still comes down to how it should be handled procedurally. You know, if this is something we want to kick to the regulations committee to try to fix or examine, or if we should be having the landowners bring a proposal to us.
Mike, I agree with your original statement that since, obviously I wasn't on the commission at the time, but if it's been brought up by the commission on several occasions and not approved by the commission, I think it's only right that the gentleman that brought it up or the landowners bring it forward and request the zone change.
Well, the specific change to B4 was not what was before the commission, but I nonetheless agree that the appropriate approach is for the landowner to bring this forward. In fact, he doesn't need any say-so from us to be able to go file an application. You know, anyone has the right to go file an application.
I think I thought that he was looking for advice from us tonight.
Yeah, yes, I'm looking for advice. You know, the other times it came forward to the commission, there was in 2016, the word regulations still said east of the Indian River, the village zone, to route, 154 or 156, the road to the country club. And so the word said one thing, but the map had our properties colored into it. And so there was other reasons the issue wasn't specifically done for a zone change, other than once there was a request.
Okay. Go ahead, Alan.
I think, just as for us, looking at any zoning change should start with the town plan of conservation and development. I think the applicant should be advised to start there too. If he's going to do it, I mean, that's what's our guideline, and let's see what it says.
I quoted it in the letter I wrote to the I did look at that. And then I thought indicated that it would be a consistent development. And you know, even the village zone when it was first enacted was not to create changes in uses of the property. In fact, it was a business zone, but it was just to maintain the character of a village kind of architecture for the town. But over the years, there's a variety of reductions of for instance, there was a drive-through opportunity village zone when it was first enacted, but the drive-through ability was so what I'm just explaining is that over the time period since the village zone, was enacted, there's been changes in the underlying regulation that has taken it away from the business that it came from, and made it more village-like, you know. And I think the historic regulations that came out in 2016 was just another emphasis of that. And what I'm trying to discuss with the zoning commission is that the development and to the benefit of the town, I think those properties there with the billboard, the police station, which is the public, you know, a public building, the restaurant of my neighbor, the gas station, it's more oriented to that business orientation than it is a residential historic type of zone.
Chairman, okay.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, all the point that Mr. Watts is making would be properly discussed in the context of an application and in the context of a public hearing on that application, which would have to be held if we're, if you wanted to go forward with this. You know, the only decision before us this evening is whether or not it would be an application from the commission, which
Correct.
I don't think there's any, you know, real support here to do that. But, you know, again, there's nothing standing in the way of his putting in an application if that's what he wants to do. We'd be obliged to accept it and to schedule a public hearing on it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else have a discussion point?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was on the commission when all this came up, you know, and I think it came to vote 2 or 3 times, you know, and there was quite opposition to this. And if I remember correctly, right down by the billboard, that was historical property. And because remember, CVS was supposed to go, and we looked at putting CVS across the street from the police station, if you remember. So I don't think we should have anything to do with this. Let Mr. Watts do his due diligence. He's an attorney. Let him do the paperwork, file an application, and then he'll come before us and go to public hearing. Because it's gonna create. I'm just being honest. It's gonna create a hornet's nest again. So they were pretty harsh on us, if you remember. Ellen, you remember everything that went with that?
Okay. I think, Mr. Watts, you've gotten our opinion and our advice. So hopefully that'll let you know what you need to do. Okay.